The sky turned dark over New York as the massive ships moved into position. They were black, sharp-edged, and looked like giant knives hanging in the air. People ran through the streets. Some screamed. Others stood frozen, looking up with wide eyes. Inside the United Earth Defense Headquarters, Captain Jack Miller watched the main screen with a tight jaw. His blue uniform felt too tight around his neck. "Sir, they're broadcasting a message," said Officer Pete. His fingers shook as he worked the controls. "Put it on screen," Jack ordered, standing straighter. The face that appeared wasn't human. It had gray skin, 4 yellow eyes, and no visible mouth. When it spoke, the sound came from slits on its neck. "Humans of Earth, I am Commander Drek of the Galactic Void Empire. We have conquered 14 star systems. You will be the 15th. Surrender now, and some of you may live to serve us. Resist, and we will turn your cities to ash." The room went quiet. Jack stepped forward. "Open a channel," he said. "I'll respond." The world leaders had picked Jack because he kept calm in bad situations. He was supposed to buy time while Earth's military prepared its defenses. "Channel open, sir," Pete said. Jack cleared his throat. "Commander Drek, I am Captain Jack Miller of Earth. We wish to discuss." Something sparked in the communication system. Jack's translator device made a high-pitched sound, then smoke came out of it. The words that reached the alien ships weren't what Jack said. Instead, the aliens heard, "Commander Dork, I am Captain Giggle of Earth. We wish to throw pies at your face and tickle your underarms." Jack didn't know this. He continued speaking seriously, while the aliens heard nonsense jokes. Commander Drek's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. "You dare mock the Empire?" Drek's voice boomed. "Perhaps you need a demonstration of our power. We will destroy one of your cities in 1 hour." At that moment, Jack reached for his coffee cup. His hand knocked it over, spilling hot coffee across his lap. He jumped up, wiping at his pants. "Hot, hot," he said, then looked at the mess and started laughing. It wasn't from joy. It was just one of those human reactions to a small disaster. On the alien ship, Commander Drek and his officers watched in confusion. The human leader was making strange noises, and his face was changing shape, showing teeth. "What is he doing?" asked Drek's second-in-command. "Unknown," said the science officer. "It might be a threat display." "He spilled the hot liquid on himself," said another officer. "It must be painful. Yet he's not showing fear or anger." Drek watched more closely. "This reaction. I've never seen anything like it. Is it a form of madness? Sir, should we still destroy the city?" Drek hesitated. In 14 conquests, no species had ever reacted to threats with this strange behavior. It could be a trick, or a sign of some unknown power. "Hold the attack," Drek ordered. "Full retreat to orbit. We need to study these humans more before engaging." The ships pulled back, leaving Earth's people confused but relieved. In the command center, Jack was still wiping coffee from his uniform when Officer Pete received the news. "Sir, the alien fleet is retreating." Jack looked up in surprise. "Why? What did we do?" Pete shook his head, equally confused. "I have no idea, sir, but whatever you did, it worked." Jack looked down at his coffee-stained pants and grinned. Little did he know that humanity's greatest weapon against the Empire wasn't their missiles or armies. It was something the aliens had never encountered before: laughter. Dr. Vex stood before the Empire War Council, his gray skin looking paler than usual. The ship's lights reflected off his large head as he pointed to the screen behind him. "Commander Drek, I believe I have found the humans' secret weapon," Vex said. Drek leaned forward in his command chair. "Explain." "They call it humor. It appears to be a psychological response to unexpected situations." Vex touched a button, and the screen showed humans watching something called a comedy show. "Look at their reactions," Vex continued. "They make that strange noise, laughter, when something unexpected happens. It seems to release chemicals in their brains that reduce fear. Are you saying they have some kind of immunity to fear? Asked Drek. Not immunity, said Vex, but they have a way to fight it. When we try to scare them, they use this humor to stay strong. Drek didn't like this at all. The Empire's whole strategy was based on fear. Show me more, he ordered. Back on Earth, Captain Jack Miller sat in a meeting with world leaders. They were planning defenses, discussing weapons and shields. Sir, we have strange reports from New York, said Officer Pete, rushing into the room. What kind of reports? Jack asked. The aliens, they're at a comedy club. Everyone stared at Pete. A what? Asked the president. A comedy club. 3 aliens in disguises. Not very good disguises. They're still gray with 4 eyes. But they're just sitting there, watching the comedians perform. Jack thought for a moment. Don't arrest them. I'm going there myself. 2 hours later, Jack sat at the back of the Laugh Factory Comedy Club. 3 aliens wearing large hats and sunglasses sat near the front. They didn't laugh at the jokes, but they took notes on small devices. The comedian on stage noticed them. Hey, looks like we have some out-of-towners tonight. Way out of town. Like out of the solar system. The crowd laughed. The aliens rode faster. After the show, Jack followed the aliens outside. Enjoying Earth culture? He asked. The aliens jumped in surprise. We are not spies, said one in a robotic voice. Jack smiled. I didn't say you were. I'm Jack Miller, Earth representative. The aliens looked at each other, confused. Why aren't you afraid of us? Asked the tallest alien. Should I be? Jack replied. We are your enemies. Jack shrugged. You're just watching a comedy show. Hard to be scared of someone who wants to understand jokes. The aliens huddled together, whispering. Finally, the leader turned back to Jack. We will report that your psychological defense is strong. This humor makes your species dangerous. Jack laughed, which made the alien step back. Look, why don't you stay for another show? Learn more about us. On the command ship, Drek watched recordings from the comedy club with growing concern. This makes no sense, he said. Their leader invited our scouts to stay. Is it a trap? I don't think so, said Vex. Humans use this humor to connect with each other. Captain Miller might be trying to connect with us. Impossible. We're at war. Are we? Asked Vex. We haven't attacked yet. Drek stood up. Then we shall attack now. A small strike to test their resolve. When they see their buildings fall, no amount of humor will save them from fear. The Empire chose April 1st for their attack. They didn't know that on Earth. This was April Fool's Day, a day for pranks and jokes. When alien ships appeared over London, people first thought it was an elaborate prank. Even as the ships fired warning shots, someone posted online, "Alien invasion on April Fools. Try harder next time." Soon, the internet filled with alien memes and jokes. People shared funny pictures of the ships with silly captions. In the command center, Jack saw what was happening. "Sir," said Pete, "should we tell people this is real?" Jack watched the screens, seeing laughter spread faster than fear. "No," he said with a smile. "Let's let the Empire deal with humanity's best defense, our sense of humor." On the command ship, Drek watched in confusion as humans responded to his show of force with jokes instead of terror. "What is happening?" he demanded. Dr. Vex could only shake his head. "I believe, Commander, that we have much more to learn about humans." "Lieutenant Kraz, your mission is critical," Commander Drek said, pacing in front of the tall, stern alien officer. "You will lead a diplomatic team to study these humans up close. Find the source of this laughter power." Kraz stood perfectly straight, his face showing no emotion. "I will not fail, Commander." Kraz had never failed a mission. In 15 years of service to the Empire, he had always followed orders exactly. His file described him as incapable of disobedience. perfect for this mission. On Earth, Jack Miller received news of the Empire's diplomatic request with surprise. "They want to send a team to learn about us?" he asked. "Yes, sir," said Officer Pete. "They're calling it a cultural exchange." Jack smiled. "Well, let's give them a real Earth welcome." 3 days later, Kraz and 5 other aliens stepped off their small ship at a special landing area. Jack was waiting for them with a small team and his best friend Tom, who wrote jokes for a living. "Welcome to Earth," Jack said with a bow. "This is Tom, who will help show you our culture." Tom stepped forward with a big smile. "Hey there, did you hear the one about the alien who walked into a bar?" Kraz blinked his 4 yellow eyes. "No. What bar did this alien walk into? Was he injured?" Tom looked at Jack, then back at Kraz. "No, it's a joke. You see, a bar is a place where people drink, but it's also a metal pole. So if you walk into a bar, you could be entering a building or hitting your head." The alien stared at Tom without reacting. "It's funny because it has 2 meanings," Tom explained. Kraz made a note on his device. Human humor relies on words with multiple meanings. This creates confusion, not clarity. Why is confusion desirable? Tom scratched his head. "Well, when you put it that way." Over the next week, Jack and Tom took the aliens to many places. A movie theater showing a comedy, a playground where children played funny games, and a restaurant where the chef made food in funny shapes. Kraz took detailed notes on everything. The other aliens seemed confused, but Kraz noticed something strange happening to himself. Sometimes, when Tom said something particularly unexpected, Kraz felt a weird sensation in his face. The muscles around his mouth wanted to move upward. This had never happened before. Empire faces didn't work that way. One night, Kraz reported to Drek via a secure channel. "Commander, I believe this humor might be affecting our biology," Kraz said, trying to keep his face still. "Explain," Drek demanded. "I experienced an involuntary facial muscle response during exposure to human jokes. It's as if their psychological weapon has physical effects." Drek looked alarmed. "Are you compromised, Lieutenant?" "No, sir. I remain loyal to the Empire." But as he said this, Kraz found himself thinking about Tom's kind face when he shared jokes. Humans didn't seem like enemies. They just wanted to make others happy. The next day, Earth held a welcome ceremony for the alien delegation. The world's leaders gathered to sign a friendship agreement with the Empire representatives. What no one knew was that Tom had set up a practical joke for Jack involving a bucket of colorful paint above a door. It was their tradition to prank each other at important events. But Jack never went through that door. Kraz did. The bucket tipped and rainbow-colored paint poured down on Kraz and the entire alien delegation. The humans gasped in horror. This could cause an interplanetary incident. Kraz stood there, dripping with blue, red, yellow, and green paint. He looked at his fellow aliens, who were equally colorful. Then he looked at the terrified humans. And then something impossible happened. The corners of Kraz's mouth turned upward. A strange sound came from his throat. He was laughing. It was a rusty, strange laugh, but definitely a laugh. The other aliens looked at him in shock. "Lieutenant Kraz," one whispered, "are you ill?" Kraz couldn't stop. The sight of his serious delegation covered in bright colors struck him as funny. Someone took a picture. Within minutes, the image of rainbow-colored aliens spread across the internet. The fearsome Empire representatives became an overnight sensation. The Rainbow Squadron, people called them. Back on the command ship, Drek watched the footage with horror. "He's infected," Drek whispered. "Humor has claimed one of our best officers." Dr. Vex looked equally concerned. "Sir, if Kraz can be affected, anyone can." Dr. Vex paced in his laboratory, surrounded by screens showing humans laughing. His assistants worked quickly, analyzing blood samples from Lieutenant Kraz and the other affected aliens. "This is worse than I feared," Vex said, looking at the test results. Exposure to human humor is changing our brain chemistry. Commander Drek slammed his fist on the table. How is this possible? Our species evolved in the void sector, where constant danger meant constant fear was necessary for survival. Vex explained. Our brains never developed pathways for joy, but human laughter is somehow creating those pathways. Drek's 4 eyes narrowed. Is it contagious? I believe so, Vex said grimly. 3 more soldiers who watched footage of Kraz laughing have shown similar symptoms. I recommend immediate quarantine of all affected personnel. Make it so, Drek ordered, and prepare for a final attack on Earth. We must end this biological threat once and for all. On Earth, Professor Linda Green studied the medical scans of Lieutenant Kraz, who had agreed to tests. This is fascinating, she told Jack and Tom. The alien brain is physically changing after exposure to humor. Jack looked at the brain scans. Is it harmful to them? No, Linda said, smiling. In fact, it's creating new neural connections associated with pleasure and relaxation. Their species appears to have evolved without these connections naturally. Tom laughed. So we're not making them sick, we're making them happy. Precisely, Linda said. Their biology is built around fear responses. Humor is acting like a form of psychological terraforming, changing how they process emotions. Jack looked thoughtful. The Empire thinks we're attacking them with some kind of weapon, but we're just being ourselves. In his private quarters, Kraz practiced smiling in a mirror. His face muscles hurt from the new movements, but he couldn't stop. Each smile brought a pleasant feeling he had never experienced before. His communication device beeped. It was a message from Commander Drek ordering him and his team to return immediately for medical treatment. Kraz knew what that meant. The Empire saw humor as a contamination to be eliminated. He touched his face, feeling the new smile muscles. For the first time in his life, Kraz considered disobeying an order. On the command ship, Drek prepared his forces for the final attack on Earth. The human infection must be contained, he told his officers. We will strike their major cities simultaneously. No more delays. As he outlined the attack plans, one of the junior officers made a comment about Earth's colorful defenses, referring to the paint incident. Another officer made a strange sound, a laugh. Drek froze. Who laughed? Who dares? But to his horror, several other officers were making the same sound. The laughter was spreading through his command room. Security, Drek shouted. Remove these infected officers immediately. As guards rushed in, Drek noticed even they were struggling not to laugh. The Empire's fearsome military discipline was crumbling before his eyes. The attack will proceed, Drek insisted, even as his command staff was led away. Earth must be. Sir, his second-in-command interrupted. I believe we should reconsider. Are you questioning my orders? Drek's voice rose dangerously. No, sir. I'm questioning our understanding of humans. What if this humor isn't a weapon? What if it's just a better way of living? Drek stared in shock. The infection had reached his most trusted officer. You're all compromised, he whispered. I'll lead the attack myself if necessary. But as he looked around the room, Drek realized the truth. His invasion force was no longer his. One by one, his officers were choosing laughter over fear. For the first time in his life, Commander Drek felt truly afraid, not of humans, but of the change sweeping through his fleet. A change that threatened everything the Empire stood for. And somewhere deep in his mind, a tiny new neural connection formed, wondering what it might feel like to laugh. We need a new approach, Jack told the Earth Defense Council. Fighting the Empire with weapons won't work, but we have something more powerful. The world leaders looked skeptical. Jokes? Asked the president. You want to fight an alien invasion with jokes? Exactly, Jack said, smiling. Their species evolved without humor. When they experience it, it changes them. They stop wanting to conquer and start wanting to connect. Professor Linda stood up. I studied Lieutenant Kraz's brain scans. Humor literally rewires their minds. It's not harming them. It's freeing them from constant fear. After much debate, the council approved Jack's plan. Operation Punchline. Earth's greatest comedians, writers, and performers went to work. They created special broadcasts designed to reach the Empire ships. TV stations, radio, and internet channels all played funny content nonstop. Hit them with everything. Jack ordered. Slapstick, wordplay, practical jokes. All of it. Scientists built special devices called humor bombs, small projectors that could play comedy shows. Jack and a small team, including Tom, prepared to sneak onto the Empire's main ship to plant these devices. "This is either the bravest or stupidest mission in history," Tom said as they boarded their small stealth craft. Jack grinned. "Maybe both." Inside the massive Empire command ship, Jack's team moved quietly through dark corridors. They planted humor bombs in the mess hall, training rooms, and main walkways. "Just 2 more to go," Jack whispered as they approached the command center. Suddenly, a door opened. Lieutenant Kraz stood there, his 4 eyes wide with surprise. "Captain Miller," he said, "I've been looking for you." Jack reached for his weapon, but Kraz held up his hands. "I'm not here to capture you," Kraz said. "I want to defect. I want asylum on Earth." Jack stared in disbelief. "Why?" "Because I've learned to laugh," Kraz said simply. "And I can't serve an empire built on fear anymore." All across the Empire fleet, strange things were happening. Soldiers gathered in secret to watch smuggled comedy videos. Officers failed to report laughter outbreaks among their crews. In the detention area, the Empire's feared disciplinary officers tried to punish laughing soldiers. But when a soldier laughed during punishment, the officer found himself fighting a strange urge to laugh too. The Empire's strict hierarchy was breaking down. Units started refusing orders to prepare for attack. Instead, they requested more comedy broadcasts from Earth. "What's happening down there?" one soldier asked another as they secretly watched a human comedy show. "I think they call it having fun," his friend replied. Then both looked around to make sure no loyal officers had heard them. Commander Drek had locked himself in his private command center with only his most loyal guards. From there, he watched as his invasion force fell apart. "This cannot be happening," he muttered, looking at reports of entire ship crews abandoning their posts to join Laffins. "Sir," one of his guards reported, "the human broadcasts are now reaching 80% of our fleet. Discipline is breaking down everywhere." Drek stood up, his 4 eyes blazing with anger. "Then we attack now, with whoever remains loyal. Target Earth's major cities. When they see their homes destroyed, their laughter will stop." The guard hesitated. "Sir, about that. I heard a joke yesterday." Drek stared at him. "What?" The guard looked nervous but then smiled. "Why did the alien go to the party?" Drek's face darkened with rage. "How dare you?" "To lift the atmosphere," the guard finished, and then did the unthinkable. He laughed. One by one, the loyal guards around Drek began to smile. Some tried to fight it, but the dam had broken. "Traitors," Drek shouted. "I'll lead the attack myself." He rushed to the control panel, pushing buttons to launch the weapons. But his second-in-command stepped forward and said something that would have been unimaginable just weeks before. "Commander," he said with a smile, "why so serious?" And the command center, for the first time ever, filled with the sound of laughter. "This is Lieutenant Kraz, broadcasting to all Empire ships," Kraz said, standing tall beside Jack in Earth's main communication center. "I have an important message." His voice reached every ship in the Empire fleet. Thousands of alien soldiers and officers paused to listen. "Brothers and sisters of the Empire," Kraz continued, "I have discovered something more powerful than fear. The humans call it joy. They call it friendship. They call it laughter." Kraz looked at Jack, who nodded encouragingly. "For generations, the Empire taught us that conquest through fear was our purpose. But I have learned there is another way to live. Today, I choose laughter over conquest. All across the fleet, aliens looked at each other. Some were afraid. Others felt something new. Hope. Join me, Kraz said. Let us learn from humans instead of destroying them. The response was immediate. On ship after ship, crew members cheered. Many had already been secretly sharing jokes and comedies. Now they did it openly. "We choose laughter over conquest," became their battle cry, though it wasn't about battle anymore. Commander Drek watched from his command center as his fleet fell into open rebellion. "This is mutiny," he shouted at his few remaining loyal officers. "I order all ships to destroy the rebel vessels immediately." But even as he gave the order, Jack's team, led by Kraz, was approaching Drek's location. "We don't want to hurt him," Jack told the team. "We want to help him understand." Kraz nodded. "I have something that might work, something from Drek's private quarters." When Jack, Tom, and Kraz reached the command center door, the loyal guards didn't stop them. Instead, they stepped aside, curious about what would happen. Drek turned in shock as they entered. "Traitors, how dare you invade my command center?" "We're not here to fight," Jack said calmly. "We're here to share something with your fleet." Kraz stepped forward with a small device. "Commander, do you remember what this is?" Drek's eyes widened. "Where did you get that?" "From your private quarters," Kraz said. "Your personal log." Before Drek could stop him, Kraz connected the device to the ship's main communication system. Suddenly, on every screen throughout the fleet, appeared a video of Commander Drek. But not the fearsome Drek they knew. This was Drek in his private room, watching a human magic show. The magician pulled a rabbit from a hat, and Drek's face twitched. The corners of his mouth turned upward. A small sound, almost a laugh, escaped him. Drek lunged for the controls. "Turn it off." "Your own crew recorded this," Kraz said gently. "They've been watching you change, just like the rest of us." Drek looked around at the faces watching him, not with fear, but with understanding. "I am Commander Drek," he said stiffly. "I do not laugh. I do not feel joy. I am fear itself." "No one is just one thing," Jack said. "Even you." The rebellion spread beyond Earth's solar system. As news traveled to distant Empire territories, other alien species who had been conquered heard about liberation through laughter. On planet after planet, fear began to fade. Comedy became a form of protest. Empire troops who had been sent to maintain order found themselves joining in the fun instead. Professor Linda made an amazing discovery as she continued to study the aliens. "Their bodies are changing," she told Jack and Tom, showing them new scans. "As they embrace humor, their physiology is shifting. The constant state of fear they evolved with is fading. They're not just learning to laugh," Tom said. "They're evolving." Jack looked at the scans. So laughter really is changing them, not just mentally, but physically too. Linda nodded. "It's like they're becoming a new species, one that can feel the full range of emotions, not just fear." "Do you think Drek can change too?" Jack asked. Linda smiled. "Everyone can change, given the chance, even the most fearsome commander in the galaxy." As if in answer from down the hall came an unfamiliar sound, the rusty, unpracticed sound of Commander Drek attempting to tell a joke. 1 year later, Earth looked very different. Alien ships filled the skies, but they weren't there to attack. They came as visitors, tourists, and friends. The Empire had a new name now, the Galactic Community. Its ships were painted with bright colors instead of black. Its soldiers learned to be peacekeepers instead of warriors. Jack Miller and Lieutenant Kraz, once enemies, now led the Galactic Friendship Initiative. Their job was to use humor to build relationships with other space civilizations. "Ready for the big day?" Tom asked, joining Jack and Kraz at the main stage of the first intergalactic comedy festival. Jack looked at the thousands of beings gathering in the huge stadium, humans and aliens from over 20 planets. I still can't believe this is happening, Jack said. Kraz smiled, something that came easily to him now. A year ago, I didn't even know what a smile was. Now I'm helping run a comedy festival. Dr. Vex, once the Empire's feared chief scientist, now took the stage as the festival's first speaker. His presentation was called The Science of Joy: How Humor Transforms Societies. Fear creates walls, Vex told the audience. Laughter builds bridges. This is not just philosophy, it is biology. He showed brain scans of Empire aliens before and after exposure to humor. Our species evolved in constant danger, so our brains developed to feel only fear, Vex explained. Humor revealed neural pathways we never knew we had. We didn't just learn to laugh. We evolved into a new version of ourselves. The audience applauded as Vex finished his talk. But the biggest surprise was yet to come. Ladies, gentlemen, and beings of all configurations, the announcer said, please welcome our headline performer. 1 year ago, he was the most feared commander in the galaxy. Today, he's making his debut as a stand-up comedian. Please welcome Commander Drek. The audience gasped as Drek walked onto the stage. He looked different now. His gray skin had a healthier color, and his 4 eyes seemed brighter. Thank you, Drek said, adjusting the microphone. So I used to command the largest invasion force in the galaxy. He paused. The benefits were great, but the work environment was toxic. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Seriously, though, Drek continued, I spent my whole life spreading fear across the galaxy. Then I came to Earth, where they offered me something I never knew existed, a good time. More laughter, louder now. I came to conquer worlds, Drek said, but conquered only stage fright. The audience roared with laughter and applause. No one laughed harder than Jack, Tom, and Kraz. After the show, as they celebrated the festival's success, alarms suddenly blared. A massive unknown ship had appeared at the edge of the solar system. We're being hailed, said Officer Pete, now working at the Galactic Community Headquarters. On the main screen appeared a new alien species, tall with skin like metal and 6 eyes. Humans, the alien leader said, we are the Kral Dominion. We have observed your planet and deemed it worthy of inclusion in our empire. Prepare to submit to our superior might. Jack looked at Kraz. Sound familiar? Kraz nodded. Very. The world leaders quickly gathered to decide how to respond to this new threat. After a brief discussion, they reached an unanimous decision. We're sending our response team now, Jack told the Kral leader. Your weapons cannot harm us, the alien replied. Jack smiled. Who said anything about weapons? An hour later, a small ship left Earth, carrying a special team, Earth's best comedians, led by Drek himself. Do you think it'll work again? Kraz asked as they watched the ship depart. Jack shrugged with a smile. I don't know, but at least we'll all go out laughing. Tom nodded. And in the end, isn't that what life is all about? As the comedy ambassadors headed toward the Kral ship, Earth didn't prepare for war. Instead, people gathered in theaters, homes, and parks, ready to share the greatest power in the galaxy. Not fear, not weapons, just the simple, universal joy of laughter. The end.